So this video popped up in my feed this morning and I was intrigued. I'm very interested in hearing what happens in this video because Ash and I seem to be on the same page about the Mythical Champion update. Uh, Again, I know how I feel about it, and listening to him talk in his videos about how he feels about it, it seems like we're on the same page for the most part. And I did the reaction to his video a few days ago, which you guys really liked and asked for more of. So here we are doing another one. I'm again very interested in what goes on in this video because Nubkex is in the thumbnail. So I assume Nubkex made a video in response to one of Ash's videos, giving some different perspective on the Mythical Champion update. And I have a lot of respect for anything Nubkex says at this point. I think he's a fantastic creator. I don't want to create a controversy here. He might be my favorite raid content creator. I think he makes really good content. Seems like such a good dude. We've had a few small interactions. We haven't spoken at length or anything, but I'm a fan. I'm definitely a big fan, and I'm very interested to hear what he says that would make Ash reconsider and potentially me reconsider. I'm not completely unwilling to hear another side of this. So might be kind of a long video, but we're going to do it. You guys are one, always asking me for longer videos, and you guys really seem to enjoy the reaction to Ash. So let's do it. Let's jump in and see how we're doing. What we got going on here.
Hey guys, it is Ash here coming at you today. Raid Shadow
Oh, it's with Nubkex. Even better. Even better. All right. All right, let's see what we got here.
Nubkex, NubRaids, Nub. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hi, it's good to be on. I'm like the most hated person in raid community at the moment, I think.
Wait.
I absolutely love you, man.
What have I missed? Did he drop a video saying he likes the Mythical thing and everybody's upset about it? Is that what's going on? Y'all better
I have
fucking
a little
relax.
raid man crush on your content, bro, because I told you off air too, but like we need to collab more because you're one of my favorite channels out there. 2 reasons, man.
Same.
Just to flatter you a little bit coming on. We've collabed before, but it's been pretty infrequent. First of all, I love that you're not afraid to share, you know, your true feelings about anything, which relates to today's topic. And number 2 is like, I just love your mentality, man. You're very knowledgeable, but you're very chill all the time. Like you're just a laid back
and just
dude.
always very positive and easy. I'm such a fan of the way he delivers information. I don't want to spend the whole video blizzing up Nub, but he's awesome. I'm a fan.
I like it, man. I like it. So we have you on today because I saw your video. You are the only content creator that I've seen who actually straight out, like flat out likes the Mythical update, right? Likes Mythical Champions. You like the whole thing. You like what Raid is putting out here. And I watched your video, and I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm not going to lie to my audience. I felt a little bad about being so negative when I watched your video, you know? Not to say that I don't stand by almost all of my opinions. I feel like some of them, I was thinking like way worse scenario versus realistic, you know, like a happy medium. So I will talk a little bit about those things. But when I saw your video, it's just like, dude, to summarize, and you should all watch Nub's video on it. To summarize, you were like, yeah, is it going to be perfect? No, but I want new content. I like what this content looks like, and I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. Does that summarize kind of your opinions? If not, give me your take on it.
Yeah, I think that basically sums it up. Like, I'm a sucker for like the new shiny thing. And I think it's one of the big reasons that I actually quite like the Mythical Champions is they don't look totally overpowered, like they're going to break the game, but they look really, really good.
Agreed.
And I just love the whole metamorph thing, right? You're switching forms. I think that's an interesting aspect of gameplay that, yeah, I just think they're adding something new to the game that's different from what we already have.
Yes, and I agree with all of that. And so far, I think I've even said similar, right? The concept is great. The Plarium is really good about coming up with cool ideas. It's the implementation and the monetization that tends to take it south. You know what I mean? I think as a concept, this is excellent. I think the champs look really cool. I agree that they seem strong enough to justify the new rarity, but not completely broken. It's not going to just completely ruin the game. I'm more concerned with how it gets rolled out, and like we've already seen that the new mythical shard or primal shard or whatever they're calling it, you can pull rares from it. That seems insane to me. Now, excuse me, if the system If they're about as easy to come across as ancient shards, okay, fine. But I feel strongly that they're not going to be that easy to come across. There's the new tome system where legendary tomes have been a problem perpetually, forever, and they haven't done anything to resolve it. If anything, they've been counteractive. They've pulled them out of the login calendar. Same with sacred shards. So we have no. We could be wrong, but we have no reason to believe that they're going to implement this in a reasonable, fair, inclusive way. And that's the big concern for me. It's not that I don't like the idea. I'm totally behind liking the idea. It's more of a concern about how Plarium's going to handle it, because they mishandle about 98% of everything that they announce. You know what I mean?
I think it's quite fun. I think people are scared because they feel like they're never going to get any of these champions. That's not something we just don't quite know yet, for sure. But yeah, I think that's why people don't like it. But I think there is actually a lot to like about them.
So I think it's cool. I agree with you, and I've always, felt this since we first saw these champions. Again, there's a lot we don't know at the time of this recording, at least. A lot we'll find out really soon. But I think that what kind of tainted my whole opinion in a nutshell was, great, like a further divide between Krakens and free-to-play. How much are these things going to cost? I kind of speculated that they're going to be more expensive than Sacreds, which is something I was obviously wrong about, because they're going to be more expensive than Voids, I think, but probably not Sacreds, because you could pull rares from them. But that was a whole nother thing. The fact that
you would think that seems logical if that's the case, but Plarium doesn't necessarily always go the logical route. They might be justifying it as the potential from this shard is so much higher that it's worth more. You know what I mean? Not what's more likely, but what the potential. They want to charge you on the potential more often than not. They're charging $30 for Sacreds because you could pull a legendary, right? They don't lower the price because you're probably going to pull an epic. And I don't know if they're reasonable enough to do that right away. I think maybe they'll drop it and do their well milking technique for a few months and then start to lower the prices and roll out better packs. But I think right out of the gate, they're going to squeeze every bit of money they can out of everybody by charging the absolute max. I will not be shocked if these shards are like $50 a piece, because again, there's potential. You could pull a mythical, and if you don't pull a mythical, you could still pull a legendary. And even if you don't pull a legendary, you could still pull an epic. But then there's the rare, but that's the lowest one you could pull. You know what I mean? I feel like that's going to be their
rares
attitude.
From Primal Shards. That felt crappy as well. You're going to save up 100 quartz to get a shard, and then you're going to get a rare champion and feel like crap because of it, the majority, more often than not, right? So let me talk a little bit about that, right? These quartz that we see on the screen right now.
Also, it's worth noting, that's 50,000 silver to summon. So it's 20,000 to summon an ancient, 20,000 to summon a void, 100,000 to summon a sacred. So that being 50,000, that does put them between voids and sacred. So logically, again, that adds up. Logically, that's reasonable. But we have to wait and see if Plarium
and these primal
behaves
shards,
logically.
How can you not think that this is going to be like, obviously, A, like just a massive money grab, and B, take a lot of time and frustration? I mean, what they announced today was they come from Hydra Clash, not the most exciting free-to-play friendly mode in the game, right? So talk to me a little bit about the shards specifically.
They're doing everything they can to force people into Hydra, and people just don't want to do Hydra. Hydra is not fun for such a large majority of the player base. It's just not a fun mode. I've enjoyed some time in it. I get in modes where I spend a little time in it, but it kind of consumes everything. Once you start trying to play around in Hydra, it just takes all your time. It's very time intensive to get teams working and to put in your keys and do the damage. And they have continued to tie so much of the important stuff in the game to Hydra as they roll it out. And people just don't want to do it. So this is kind of frustrating too, because it's like, it's your fault for making content that most people don't want to do. And now you're strong arming them into it in a way where if they don't do it, they don't get to participate in what's going on. And that's kind of what I talked about in yesterday's video, is this mentality they have of like making everybody feel excluded if they don't participate. If you don't want to do Hydra, well, then I guess you're gonna have to spend some money if you want mythical champs, because that's where the mythical shards come from. If you want to participate in high level arena, you're gonna have to do some Hydra, because you're gonna need that stone skin gear. Like, you're gonna need to, for a while. That's the only way to get mythical gear. Like, they're just they just refuse. I feel like they just refuse to take any feedback. It's like, oh, you don't like Hydra? Well, you're gonna do it anyway, or you're gonna miss out on all this important stuff. Like, it's such a backwards way of
And how
designing
that all
it.
sits with you.
Yeah, well, like if it's only from Hydra Clash, that obviously really sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sort of expecting or guessing that whatever that third clan boss is, right? If we go into the clan boss screen in the game, you've got Demon
The
Lord,
void
Hydra,
or whatever, yeah.
and then
Yeah.
this void. I'm guessing that's going to come probably for Christmas, maybe something like that, and that's probably going to be dropping these primal or mythical tomes. I don't even know if they're called mythical tomes.
Okay.
And it's probably going to start dropping the primal shards and stuff as well.
That's
So I
a
think that will probably be the main source.
nice thought. It's optimistic.
We'll see. Again, that's speculation. I don't know for sure.
Sure.
Uh,
You're a
so
very
yeah.
optimistic dude, considering all of Plarium's decisions historically. I think that's like,
Yeah.
but why don't you be critical of me for a little bit? Because I felt like, I'm just gonna be real with you. I have no idea if you watch any of my content or you saw any of my videos or whatever, but I felt a little bit like you might be talking to me a little bit in your videos, right?
Really?
Well, maybe it's just my guilty conscience, but you're like, a lot of creators are out there just like totally crapping on this update. You didn't say exactly like that, but I kind of took it to heart, and I'm like, dude, I had one of those soul searching moments. I'm like, am I just out there just spreading negativity just because I'm cynical about Plarium, but I'm not taking this at face value, the cool parts? Am I missing that, you know? So
Yeah, I do that. I do that as well. I know that. I don't know how many of you will think that I do that. I make very sure that I'm not being negative for the sake of being negative because it's Plarium. I try to approach everything that they do from a neutral stance, right? Unfortunately, more often than not, I just disagree with what they're doing. And I think you could go back and watch my history as a raid content creator, and you'll see how many times I've tried to go to bat and tried to defend an idea before it was implemented, and tried to go have a little bit, maybe they'll do it right this time. Maybe they've taken some feedback. I think I have a pretty long history of trying to be impartial, right? Again, I just disagree with so much of what they do that I think it seems like I'm looking for opportunities to be negative, but I'm really not. I'm really not. I went into this mythical thing totally ready to be surprised that it was going to be good. And again, I'm very concerned about the implementation. It hasn't happened yet. We'll see how it goes. But I do this occasionally as well. What he's talking about, the soul searching. Like, am I just hating on it because it's Plarium, or do I really think it's bad? And then I think, what if Come to Us, which is the Summoner's War developer, what if they did this? I think about how I would feel about it. And I feel like with Come to Us and other developers that don't have this kind of history, even if they do something questionable, I'm much less likely to get the pitchfork out, because it's not in character for them to seem shady and manipulative and money grabby. You know what I mean? Whereas Plarium, maybe we are a little bit more sensitive to it, so that the first hint of something like that, it's like, here we go again. We're doing it again, right? So maybe Plarium doesn't get a completely fair shake every time, but I also feel like they don't deserve a completely fair shake every time, because we're over 4 years into this game now, and they have been more than crystal clear about the way they're going to behave, what their goals are, what their intentions are. You know what I mean? So again, I can sympathize with what he's saying here, because sometimes it's frustrating when people, I feel like people sometimes don't even hear what I'm saying because they think I'm just ready to be negative. And it's like, no, I'm actually making what I think are some pretty good points here. It's unfortunate that I have to be negative more often than not about Plarium, but it's unfortunate that what Plarium does is negative more often than not. You know what I'm saying? So I get what he's saying.
How do you feel? I mean, you're the only one that came out positive about this. How do you feel about everybody else being negative about it? Like, how do you really feel about it?
I mean, I was honestly a little surprised that everyone, not just creators. I was kind of talking about just everyone in general. Like my clan, the Discord for my clan, they all hate it. The other content creators I've seen, they've all hated it as well. Like everyone just seems really negative, which
that's just lack of faith, though. That's lack of faith in a developer that has done nothing to instill any faith. I think most people think that the concept is cool. I think most people think that the idea of a stronger rarity of champions is a cool idea. I think most people probably think these champs look really badass. I think most people think these champs are going to be really fun to have and play with. It's the lack of faith in how Plarium is going to implement it due to a history of poorly implementing their ideas into the game, where it becomes strictly about either bullying you to play content you don't want to play or monetizing the shit out of it. You know what I mean? And milking the whales before everybody else gets any access to it. I think that's where the hatred comes from for the idea. I think a lot of people like the idea. It's the lack of faith in Plarium.
I think more people that'd be like, oh, cool. This looks quite fun. I'd like to have a mythical champion. That seems fun. So yeah, I was genuinely quite surprised that it was so overwhelmingly negative. So I do feel like there's a bit of a bandwagon thing maybe going on that like everyone sees everyone being negative, and then it's like, oh well, I better be negative too, otherwise, you know, I feel bad. Like I got a lot of horrible comments from people. I got some really nasty stuff said.
I didn't even look. Kudos to you for actually.
That's annoying. That's frustrating. Because I don't think he should be getting hateful comments for liking this idea. I think that's silly. I think that the internet can be very silly sometimes, and I think if of all the creators that I know, NubRaids has to deserve it the least. Like I've never seen him remotely be shitty or, you know what I mean? I feel like he seems like such a genuinely nice guy. It's very frustrating to hear that he's getting shitty comments for giving his opinion. So yeah, don't do that. Hopefully nobody watching this did that, but don't do that shit. That's dumb. Disagree without being a dickhead. You know what I mean? I hear what he's saying about the bandwagon thing. I don't know if I totally agree. I don't know if people, I mean, I'm sure there's definitely mob mentality sometimes. And there's a certain percentage of YouTube viewers that will be like that. But I think more than the bandwagon thing, it goes back to that lack of faith thing that I'm talking about. I think we just continuously get burned by Plarium back to back to back to back to back. And it gets to the point where no matter what they announce, no matter how good it sounds, everybody's going to be like, it's not going to be as good as you're making it sound. You're going to find a way to fuck it up. And I'm going to be disappointed again. I'm not even going to bother getting excited about it. So I think a lot of people are in a place of like, I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised, but I have no faith that they're capable of doing it. You know what I mean?
That was going to be one of my questions is like, what were the comments like on that video? But
I've only read, I haven't read all of them, right? You have to be in a good space of mind.
Yes, you do. You really do. You can't do it
right?
before bed or anything like that. No way, you know? Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like that's part of it is, yeah, I do feel like, I think you mentioned knee-jerk reaction earlier. I feel like it has been a bit of a knee-jerk reaction of people. And like, who knows? Like, as I said in my video, maybe this will turn out to be absolutely terrible. And a year from now, we'll look back and be like, man, I wish they never did this. But there's so much unknown right now. I don't know. I just always like to have that tempered expectation where I'm like, all right, I'll go and I'll be somewhat hopeful. But sure, like you said, you know, Plarium's done some pretty dodgy stuff as well. So it's like, all right, I'm expecting a big old cash grab. I'm expecting that, but I'm hopeful there's going to be some good stuff in there as well for just the regular player.
Yeah, agreed.
But I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet until it comes live and we can like math out how the shard's going to break down, what's your chances to get them, how long it will take.
Yeah.
I don't quite know yet.
How do you feel about the gap between free to play? You talked about this a little bit in your video. You actually put out some comments that have been made by the community, right? Free to play players won't be able to get them. It will widen the gap. Talk to me a little bit about how you see and also reconcile the gap between the haves and the have-nots in Raid. Like, how do you, as somebody, my impression of you is like a spender, but not like the biggest Kraken in the world. How do you enjoy Raid, and what do you tell your audience to that regard when they're worried about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Raid is made, like, I try to support free-to-play players as much as possible. I think that Raid is really designed to make you feel bad if you're free-to-play. They really want you to be, at the very least, a low spend, you know,
Yes,
at the
right?
very least.
Yeah.
So
Dude, there's
I
nothing
feel
more
like,
infuriating that on a
yeah.
free-to-play account than getting the pop-ups like 100 times a day to spend. You're like, dude, I wish there was a thing that you could just check to say I'm not gonna buy anything, you know? But anyway,
Yeah.
I hear your point loud and clear there.
Yeah, but I think the way that I look at the game, and I think it's the best way for people to look at the game, like, you're never going to compete with an Uber Kraken. Like, some of the guys in my clan and some of the people they fight in live arena, I'm like, man, they are so far ahead of me. It's like, I'm never going to catch up.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not possible. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Like, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
If you take PvP super seriously, you're in for you're in for
Yeah.
a pain. But
Again,
what I like about this
agree.
game is you can go in even free to play or low spend, whatever, with limited, like,
I
monetary.
don't get too caught up in the widening the gap conversation, because the gap is already insurmountable. If you are not spending thousands of dollars a month, the gap will never be closed anyway. So it doesn't matter. And I don't think that's the point. I think if your concern with this game is the gap, then you're playing it for the wrong reasons, unless you're a whale that wants to be in Platinum Arena top 10, you know what I mean? I think you should just be playing the game. And my concern is how accessible is the game for the free-to-play player. It should be grindier. It should take longer, but it should be playable. It should all be playable. It should all be accessible. You shouldn't be excluded because you're unwilling to spend or can't spend or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Input or no monetary input, and you can beat everything. Like, you can do it. And yeah, it's going to take some time, but you can make really steady progress. Like, before I became a content creator, I was almost entirely free to play. I think I spent $60 on the game or something over the first year and a half. But I was able to get through and really start taking almost everything down, or at least making really steady progress. And that's really fun, you know, building those new teams, getting champions that change up your account. And you've got really powerful stuff now, like Sun Wukong's insane. Newt Fusion, he's absolutely insane, right?
Yeah.
That changes up the game. So
yeah.
I think that you can have a really, really enjoyable experience in this game, even without spending anything and just playing consistently over a long time. I feel like the first month of the game kind of sucks, but when you get to the point where you actually have resources coming in, it gets much more fun.
Agree.
I think another part of it as well, I've been thinking about this since I did that video before. It's not like if they don't do mythical champions that there's not going to be this increasingly growing power gap.
Yeah.
There is going to be an increasing growth. It's just the way the game works. There's always going to be new stuff, new ways for people to spend and to get advantages from it. And we've seen that with Empowerment, Awakening, consistently. And that's the way it's going to go. So I think the question is not like, oh, well, Mythical Champions is going to make this power gap. It's not. There's got to be a power gap. Is Mythical Champions a good version of that power gap or a bad one?
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of things that's kind of nice about it. One thing I think is kind of cool is, instead of that power gap being like Taras Marishka, it's a bunch of Void legendaries, just buy more Void shards. Now it's like, oh, now we've got the old affinities coming back in and they have counterplay. And stuff like that. Like, Spirit Affinity Mythical's really strong. Well, my Magic Affinity champions are kind of good against that, right? I think there's more interesting stuff there. It makes those older affinities continue to be relevant, like at that sort of like top end of the champs you can pull. I think that's actually quite cool. That's quite fun.
Again, all of that is correct and makes sense. It's more of how accessible is it. If it's only accessible to the big spenders, then it doesn't matter. But I think I said a similar thing in my last video, that it's just the natural progression. Something like this was coming. If it wasn't going to be Mythical Champions, it was going to be something else. You know what I mean? 7-star or a second level of Ascension or whatever. You know, there was going to be something, or Awakening, whatever it's called. And this makes sense, and it's a fun concept. But again, the implementation is the
like
concern.
I mentioned as well. I think the gameplay of swapping between the forms, I like that game. It's extra gameplay. I think it's fun. It's going to be super hype when you pull a champion. I honestly prefer that to having like Taras and Marishka 2.0 coming in more Void shards instead. I think that's much more boring. Getting Mythical. I think it's nice. So
I actually agree with you there, right? In terms
the
of the
meta's so
actual
boring right
what
now.
the champions do, like the metamorph and all that stuff, like to all your points, I agree. I'm just concerned with really, I guess, the cost, man. Like, what did you think of the Soul Stone, like Awakening and Blessings? What did you think of all that?
I think it's been pretty mixed, honestly. Like, I feel like you get too few soul stones.
Yeah.
He's
the
I
big
mean,
wearing the
problem.
same
it's just
shirt
like, even if
behind
you're
Ash.
spending a lot on soul stones, it feels that just feels dirty to me, like that part, you know. And like, listen, I think again, conceptually, I think it's awesome. Like conceptually, I think that blessings are awesome. I really do.
Man, it
Awakening
really
is
sounds
awesome.
like Ash and I, we're almost saying the same thing. I feel like every time I pause and say something and unpause, Ash says exactly what I just said. It seems like we are exactly on the same page
Like
here.
I like it all. It just does. It feels out of whack, and it feels to
Yeah.
me. And I think this is my frustration, man. Is that it feels every time, year after year after year, every new feature that comes out, they just get maybe 10 or 20 or 30% more aggressive with their monetization, and it gets
Yeah.
to you feeling like, dude, like exhausted and very cynical. Because the shame is to your point, man, I feel the same way. I think it looks awesome, and you hit the nail on the head, bro. Like, what do I want? More void legendaries, more OP voids? Like, no. Or more fusions every week that feel compelled to spend more money to get them? No, I
Yeah.
don't want that either. I think that these mythical legendaries are way cooler, or whatever they're called. Mythical champions are way cooler than that, But I'm concerned with even the skill tomes, as you mentioned, So I want to go back to like the points that you're making in this video. Free to play players won't get them at all, or won't get any. I don't think anybody's saying that. I think you might have gone like to the extreme, but maybe the comments are saying that. Maybe the comments are saying that. But like,
Yeah.
I
There's
guess
a
my
couple, so
concern is, my concern
I
is
have
that
to
like,
pick them.
and I hear you. My concern is that even if free to play do get them, dude, like I think you're being hopefully you're right and I'm wrong, but I think you're being like very optimistic on that. Like there's going to be a void clan boss that we're able to farm these things in or whatever.
He
Because
is being very optimistic.
how are free to play ever going to get the skill tomes, man? Like to even utilize these champions.
Yeah, legendary tomes are bad enough.
Even if I buy your argument that, eventually, even if it's every 4, 5, 6 months or whatever, that you actually get a mythical champion, right? And it sounds like there's going to be one available in game somehow anyway,
Yeah.
We'll see
So,
what
okay,
that
we all get our
means.
hands on one. Then how are free to play going to even upgrade one? That's my concern. And the truth is we don't even know like exactly how yet, but aren't you worried about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be very slow, to be fair. Like,
Yeah.
I'd imagine, like, my guess would be if you take how long it takes a free-to-play player to book out a legendary,
Yeah.
it'll probably take 4 times as long or something like that to book out a mythical. That would be my rough guess for what they're going to do. So you're probably feeling like, man, it takes me forever to book out a legendary. It's probably going to be just as bad with mythical.
Yeah.
It's
So
gonna
yeah,
be worse,
I think it's
for
going to be
sure.
pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's the concern,
It's
man.
for
Like,
sure.
don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tee up a softball here, but don't you think there should be a dungeon or something, a way to farm these? Like, wouldn't that solve? Even if it's like a 0.1% drop or something, wouldn't that be the solution here? Like, you get legendary pages and mythical pages, and 4 or 10 or whatever pages equals 1 skill tome. Whatever it is, a viable way to actually upgrade these champions, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd like to see it in a dungeon specifically, but it'd be kind of fun if the chests they give you for like events now, like the
Yeah.
bronze chests and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
they're kind of rubbish. It'd be fun if like you said, they could drop pages.
Yeah.
Or like the weekly classic arena. Like there's a whole bunch of rewards in game that kind of suck. Or the marketing game. There's lots of places they could work these pages in.
Lots of
bonus,
places. Lots of
rewards
stuff
to help
they could be
people
doing different.
progress more. I think that'd be cool. I think it's interesting they're doing something like that with these primal shards that you get whatever 100 fragments of the primal shard.
Yeah, dude.
So
how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I hate it, bro. I hate it. It feels very Prism Shardy to me. Did you like Prism Shards?
No,
Prism shards are
really
fucking
hopeful.
terrible.
So that was something I was wrong about. Like I was hopeful for Prism shards at the start. I was like, this could be a really fun thing. Just like a short event. Oh, go grind out some of these Prism shards, get to pull, and like you don't have to think about it too much. But then they priced it so high that like
so high.
One, if you wanted to do it for free, you literally couldn't. There literally were not enough Prism shards available to activate it one single time. I'm like, it's just
that's where this all comes from. That's the problem. That's why we struggle to be optimistic. Is because even something as seemingly simple as their prism shard implementation, and they botched it that hard. They probably didn't botch it. It was probably intentional, but not one available to earn. Like crazy. That's insanity. That's insanity to implement that so blatantly unconcerned with anybody that's not spending money. It's such a blatant in your face fuck you to the majority of your player base. So I love that he's able to continue to be optimistic. I think that's great. And again, I love his energy and his videos. I like that he's optimistic. I like that he's very positive and also very reasonable. It's not like he's delusional or anything. I think he just prefers to go in with a level of optimism and hope for the best. I feel similarly. I think I've been playing this game a lot longer than he has too, which probably contributes to why I'm less interested at this point in being like, let's wait and see if it's good. I'm over. Let's wait and see if it's good. I have no reason anymore to believe it's going to be good. You know what I mean? I'm more than willing to be wrong and pleasantly surprised, but I have no more of that left in me for Plarium at this point. So I think that maybe is the difference is that maybe I think Ash and I have just been playing longer, been dealing with Plarium longer, and have seen more of it. And again, maybe we were just easier to break to that point than Nubkex. Maybe he's got like an endless well of just like, they can't take this away from me. I'm going to be optimistic. Maybe that's what he's got. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think I don't have it in me anymore to hope for the best I hope for the best, but like nothing in me expects it. Nothing in me expects anything good from Plarium anymore. I think that helps me stay sane. You know what I mean? But anyway,
Plarium just doing it so badly. So that's a legit fear.
And this is my fear, man. This is where my frustration comes from, man. Because like I won't lie. Again, I kind of said this at the beginning, but I watched your video after I already had recorded and uploaded my video. I'm like, dude, I wanna be like Nub, bro. I wanna be a positive dude.
Yeah.
Because people come here because they play Raid, whether they're mad or not, right? Like they play Raid, and I don't want to disenfranchise everybody and make them like quit the game, because I like making content for Raid Shadow Legends, and I actually really love the game. You know, it's funny. As a quick side note, I want to get into like, well, actually, let's finish up the shard thing. So you don't like the quartz or whatever, the primal quartz, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure yet. It's gonna depend how much they give away.
Yeah.
Like how you get it and all that. Like I don't quite know yet.
I don't like it, and here's why, man. Because like, if they were gonna make these things any like somewhat viable to get, I feel like they just give you the damn shard.
They just give you the shard?
They just give you the shard, bro. But it's like, nah, you have to collect the 100 mini shards, turn them into a shard, and then you have a 0.5% chance at a mythical. I'm joking. I don't know what the chances are going to be, but I can't imagine them being sky high, you know, because you have legendary in there as well.
Can't imagine them being reasonable. Are they going to have
double chance events for these? I don't know. Like, these are obviously unanswered questions, but I can just picture a free-to-play or low spender. Like, this is what kills me, man. I can just picture them saving up all these fragments, getting 2 shards after several months of hard work, and then opening 2 rares, bro. You know, like that's
God, that's gonna be brutal.
Even though I do agree with you overall in terms of I like the concept of these. Like, I do think they look really cool. And I see here, like, how many should we get? You say you're thinking 1 for every 2 void legendaries. Is that like your thought process on how many?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay. And that makes sense to me.
They should be probably rarer, right? I would assume. But
I don't disagree.
Who knows what they'll do?
They said voids are going to be coming at some point potentially, right? And they said it multiple times. Do you think there's going to be another primal void shards or something?
I think so.
For sure.
Yeah. And even more expensive would be my guess. Like,
you're making my
100%.
point, Nub. You're making my point.
I know, but I mean that's what I would expect. Yeah.
I know.
I just think it would be weird if they added voids in retroactively to a shard that already exists. I just don't see that.
No, there's for sure.
So,
they're not going to miss that opportunity.
I think there'll be a separate
to monetize another object.
So many shards, man.
So
100%.
I agree, man. I agree. I do wanted to say that the free-to-play Kraken power gap widens, right? You talk a little bit about this, and I think that maybe this is one of my biggest concerns as well. But maybe I ought to look at it a little bit more like you, man. Like, maybe that ship has sailed a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I just need to, you know, like, to be worried about the gap between free-to-play and Kraken at this point, 4 years into Raid or whatever. Maybe that's just a fool's errand, and it's nonsense. There's no, like, it doesn't matter, right? You just play Raid because you enjoy it however you enjoy it,
You'll
right?
ruin the enjoyment.
Yeah.
Any enjoyment you can
I
find
saw Hades
worrying
in
about
this
the gap.
video saying that, like, even his account is kind of like a Kraken account. Like, he spends a ton of money because, you know, he's one of the biggest content creators in the game on it. But he's like, even he feels like he's way far behind, like, the top guys now.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, like, you know, and he has spent money. So for someone coming in that's free to play, like, yeah, you've got no chance. There's no way. You're
Yeah.
playing a different game,
You're
really.
playing. You're playing a
I
different
mean, even a
game,
few
but
hundred a
like
Yeah.
month,
the
you'll
cool
never
thing
catch
is,
up.
I guess,
Like,
glass half full, right? To take
this
a
is an
page out of your
expensive
book, it's
game.
like you don't have to compete with anybody in this game. There is no winning Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
You know, there's not an
Yeah.
esport. There's not. It's not. You know, there's nothing that comes of it, and that should also make everybody watching feel less compelled to ever have to spend money to keep up with X, Y, or Z because there's no point. You know. To your point on Hades, man, like I also have spent a ton on this game, and there's still players that are more advanced than I, you know, and it's not to what end, I guess, right? Most importantly, I wanted to end with a final question for you, Nub, and that is not even a question, a statement, I guess, and get your thoughts on it because it goes back to the hate that you were getting from this video. You mentioned here, like you're only like this feature update because you're paid to play it. Obviously,
Look, those kinds of comments are just stock comments. There's like, I don't know. There's a list of stock comments that people just go to when they don't have anything productive to say, or they don't have an actual argument. There's a handful of comments that commenters like this throw out, and hopefully they don't bother him too much. Hopefully the shitty comments didn't bother him too much. It's unavoidable as a content creator. No matter what kind of content you make, you're gonna occasionally get shitheads in your comment section. I will say, for the most part, the raid community is surprisingly dope. For you typically wouldn't expect a mobile game community to be as cool as the raid community, but there's of course shitheads in every bunch. And again, it's unfortunate to hear that he's getting any kind of hate for an opinion that he has about a mobile game. You know what I mean? Like, it's silly that there's people watching that take it so seriously that they would be hateful to him. This isn't necessarily hateful. It's just like an uninspired, lazy comment that people go to. Another one is, you know, if any disagreement that anybody has with a content creator, they'll just throw out shit. Like, your content is shit. Right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your content is. It doesn't matter what they even actually think about you or your content. It's just a stock comment that comes out when people don't have anything to say. And again, this is another one of those comments. So all I'm saying is I hope that these aren't bothering him too much. I think he's been doing this long enough to maybe have an idea of what's going on in the comment section. So I hope this is not bugging him too much.
Shadow Legends. I think most people know that they don't pay us.
Also, yeah, we're not.
I wish they freaking did. I mean, for all the money
we're paid to play it in the sense that, like, we make money off YouTube and stuff. But Plarium, if you think Plarium is giving any money to anybody that actually plays this game, you are so overestimating Plarium's business ethics. They only pay people to play this game that don't play the game. They only want new audience. They have no incentive to pay us to play this game because we're already playing it. We're already doing it for them. You know what I mean? So that's why the ad campaign was so big. They want access to audiences that aren't already watching content for the game. They don't pay us shit. There's a content creator pack where you get, you know, a couple of legendary books and stuff every week. There's back in the day, they would do the shout out occasionally for a content creator. There was opportunities to work with them to get a little bit of exposure and grow your channel and stuff. And they have a lot of opportunities to take really good care of their content creators. They capitalize on zero of them. They'll do these contests and stuff every now and then, and they go, we'll put it in a playlist on our channel. And you think, wow, they've got like 50,000 subscribers. That would be great. No, they don't really do any views unless they pay for them. So that's not really doing anybody any good. They could do the shout out like they did for Stu and Hades and Chosen. They could do that every month. There's no reason for them not to be taking care of their creators. Blizzard did a thing where with Diablo 4, where if you gifted 2 subs to someone streaming Diablo 4 that was part of the program, you would get a free cosmetic in the game. Well, not free. You have to gift the 2 subs, but you get a cosmetic for your horse in Diablo 4. And there's a few Diablo 4 streamers that made a fucking killing on that. And it's as simple as that. There's nothing stopping Plarium from putting a skin in the game and saying gift a sub to anybody in the content creator program, and you'll get this free skin, or you'll get this, you know, there's nothing stopping them from doing any of that. And it could be so beneficial for their creators. They don't give a fuck about their creators, man. I know it seems like they do. They give you gems to give away. They give you the content creator pack, but like, that's all, I don't know. It all feels empty. It all feels like something they do so that when someone says you don't care about your creators, they can go, look, we do this. No, we do this. We have this program. We do this. They don't give a shit about their content creators.
You know, golly,
they don't care.
But like every other game in the world has like a creator code or something. There's none of that here because they know
there's so many things they could be doing that would be so beneficial, and they do none of them.
If they gave us even 1% of what us idiots spend on this game, we'd be like millionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be nice. Not gonna happen, but it'd be nice. So I have to say this, man, because like anybody who gives you crap or whatever, first of all, dude, to come out and be positive about something. My video on this channel, bro, with the most dislikes by far out of any video I've ever put out here. Generally, I get like a really nice like to dislike ratio. I'm sure you're the same, right? Great audiences, great community. But I put out a video, I forgot the name of it. It was like something like the most controversial thing I'll ever say or something. So I didn't help myself with that title. But I was like, Raid's the perfect game for a gotcha category. Like I was basically saying how much I love the game, you know, and like unabashedly. Okay. And people hated me for it, man. They hated me for it. Like
that's so
obviously
silly.
Not everybody, but you know, 10% of the like.
That's so silly to make a video to have comments like that on a video, basically saying, I really enjoy this game. People get so upset about that, dude. That's wild.
I had like a 90 or 85% like ratio there. Like a lot of people, hundreds of people.
I disagree. I want to be clear. I hard disagree that Raid is a perfect game in the gacha category. Hard disagree. I would never even consider leaving a hateful comment or even disliking the video. That is so silly.
That, you know? So it takes, I don't know what it is. It's not just games. It's not just YouTube, bro, but like, it's the world that we live in. If you come out and you're negative about something, right? It could be a politics. It could be anything. If you're negative about people or anything, like people give you so much credit, like, oh, standing up against the man or whatever. But if you're positive about something, people hate you. And people have it wrong, man. If you're positive about something publicly, you get so much more hate than if you're negative. It's crazy, you know, it's crazy. So
I feel like unless it's a truly controversial opinion, you shouldn't get hate for either. I think you should be able to say you like or dislike something, and people should be more than happy to disagree. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I hard disagree with Ash saying that this is a perfect game. And I'm sure he's summarizing what he said in the video. I'm sure he doesn't actually think the game is perfect. But like, even if he does, either way, I probably disagree. But like, there's so many healthy ways to do that. I just can't believe that there's people that just... I got a stupid comment on one of my videos this morning. People are so silly.
I'm gonna give you props for speaking your mind, man. That's what we need more of in today's world. Sorry for getting on my soapbox, bro, but like we need people that actually have might be unpopular opinions, but actually having a dialogue. You know, like you're not. I don't know. It frustrates me, man. It frustrates me. Any thoughts on all that?
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. I was just checking. It's my video, just so you guys know, is at 85.8% liked, which is
right around
really low.
That's low.
Yeah. So like people,
I mean, even I say even I like I have a lot of hate comments or anything. I don't. Most of my videos, I don't go below 98% typically. Unlike to dislike ratio. Let me just check real quick and see what we're at. 100%, 99.4. There's a 97.7, 98.8, 99.5, 97.7, 98.6, 98.8, 99. So just to give you an idea of where typically I think most of us sit is like 98% or higher. So for him to be at 85% might sound good, might sound like, oh, that's still way mostly positive. And it is. It's a drastic difference in what's typical. Even on something that could be semi-controversial, I still don't tend to go below like 95, 94, 95. So at 85 is actually
but
shocking.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, you know. Like I feel it's one of my regrets.
Wait, could you guys see all that? I might have to go in and fix that so you guys can see all my info.
Being a YouTuber, right, is
Yep.
that we're playing into social media, and social media really fosters this whole like outrage, like culture.
Everything's
And
bad. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
everything is extreme. Like, I mean, here's me making stupid faces in every thumbnail. You know, it's like
yeah.
playing into it. But yeah, so yeah, you just
Yeah.
take it with a pinch
And
of salt.
yeah, sometimes I get comments that almost put me up on this, like, I don't know, they put me into this position of like a position I'm not trying to be in. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like because I agree with, or I said something that someone agrees with. Every now and then I'll get a comment that puts me in this place where it's like I must agree with everything they think. It's hard to explain. Or like comments where it's like you're the one content creator that's not shilling for Plarium, and it's like, no, I'm not. Don't put that on me. I'm not the only creator out here not shilling for Plarium. This idea that everyone else is bought and paid for by Plarium and I'm the only one speaking the truth. I don't like comments like that. They're aggravating to me. I feel like they're disrespectful to many of the other creators. I think most of the creators say what they think. I don't recall ever seeing a video of anyone and thinking they're just saying that for the views or whatever. Like even the most, like I would say one of the better relationships is probably Hell Hades and Plarium. I've never gotten the impression Hell Hades was shilling for Plarium. I've seen Hell Hades be critical many times of what they're doing. I think, again, I can't think of a creator that doesn't say what they think. I think when there's something to be critical of, everybody's pretty reasonable about it. Maybe some people decide to speak on it less than I do or Ash does, but that's also not a bad thing. Like at the end of the day, we're all just playing a mobile game. It's not that serious. It's not that serious. There's aspects of it that are heavier in the way that Plarium tries to manipulate and how shitty they can be. And like, there are those things and there are elements of it that are heavy. And if you take it seriously, I'm not knocking that. I take it seriously to a degree as well. It can be as important to you as you want it to be. But the fact that it maybe is not as important to someone else shouldn't be an opportunity for you to talk negatively about them or act like they don't have a spine. You know what I'm saying? So those comments always irk me. I'm like, I don't want that. I'm not trying to be that for you. I'm just saying what I think. I'm giving my opinion. I'm not trying to step out in front of the crowd and lead the pack. I don't agree with everything you say. A lot of time these are people that have left comments that in the past I've seen and like, God, you're borderline getting hidden from the channel. You know what I mean? So the YouTube comment section is a tricky place, man. It's a tricky place. It takes some time as a creator to learn how to navigate it and not have it affect you one way too far or the other. You know what I mean? It's a tricky place to navigate, and you never really know. You never really know. I've dropped videos before that I thought were going to be really controversial and generate a lot of hate, and there were no negative comments. And by the same token, I've dropped videos that I thought were going to generate a very positive response that a lot of people didn't like. So it's just a tricky place, man. I could spend so much more time talking about it. I don't even know if it relates to anything that was being talked about. I just kind of went down my own rabbit hole there, but
you know, just hopefully
it's tricky.
I just try to make videos and be reasonable in them, and hopefully it inspires people at least a little bit to be like that as well. But we'll see.
Man. Listen,
yeah.
this is why I wanted to have you on, bro. Is like because I love that you had an unpopular opinion. You know, like I don't think after this conversation, I don't think you've changed my mind. I'm still pretty salty about everything, but I will give you credit for one thing. I'll give you credit for one thing though. Like you gave me pause, and you also just. I think it's the reality of almost everything in life, right? Like you see things through your own lens, basically, right? If you choose to take the positive of this update, hey, it's new content. It's not just more fusions, not just more champions. It's something brand new, fresh. They look awesome. Like in terms of mechanically, they seem really cool, but to your point, not like they're going to break the entire game either. So there's a lot of stuff to be excited about here. There really is, you know, and you made me actually recognized that after watching your video. So I wanted to bring you on here.
I reckon that's worth praising too. The at least the look of these champs and how strong they're going to be. Seems like Plarium struck a pretty good balance in strong enough to deserve the new rarity and be interesting and game changing, but not game breaking, which they seem to have struggled with a little bit in the past. Seems like they did an okay job here. So again, like he's saying, there's plenty of good about it. And I don't think anybody's really disagreeing there. I would assume that most people are more concerned with the implementation than the actual system. Does that make sense?
Actually, hopefully give that perspective to my audience and just have these conversations, because at the end of the day, it's a game, right? And we need to hopefully enjoy it or not play it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, like when you see comments be like, I hate this game so much, it's the worst. You're like, man, just don't play it.
Don't play it, man.
Do something else, dude.
Yeah, or some people who are like, dude, you know, like get 10 out of 10 irate. And I get it. It's emotional because you're putting money, your hard-earned money into this game, and
lots of
your
time,
expectations are set,
and energy.
So I understand it, but I have the same thought that you do, man. Like if someone really is raging in the comments, it's like, bro, you shouldn't. It's a game. Just don't play it, you know?
Some of the funniest ones, though, are like, I quit this game like 2 years ago and it still sucks. Oh, I hate it so much.
I get this a lot.
Go have a cup of tea or something. You need to move on. Move on with your life.
Absolutely,
okay.
man. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your perspective. I'm sure my audience will enjoy it. And everybody go check out NubRaids. I mean, like, I love your content, man. Not just for that video, but
same.
for, you know, for all your content. Like, it's such a great, unique flavor, I would say, compared to a lot of the content out there. And you're so knowledgeable of the game, a billion times more than myself. So everybody go check out Nub's channel. Any final words before we let you go, man?
No, I mean, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. This video is much longer than I thought it was going to be, but I had a lot to say, apparently. That was a good video. That was fun and unexpected. Again, I thought it was going to be Ash talking about Nub's video, but he actually had him on, and it was cool to hear them have the discussion. Again, I'm kind of in the same ballpark as Ash here, in that I don't think I feel any differently about it after this, because I agree. I agree with everything NubKex is saying. It seems like he's more focused on the idea itself and not concerning himself with how it's going to be rolled out, which is probably a healthier way to do it, honestly. Don't spend a lot of energy on something that hasn't happened yet. You know what I mean? We don't know how it's going to happen. I think we do. I think we do know how it's going to happen, but we really don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe they will blow us away with maybe there's new leadership, and this is their first big decision, and the way that this gets rolled out is going to shock us. Maybe it's going to be a great implementation, accessible to everybody, reasonable. It could very well be that. And I like his approach, and I'm just going to be excited about the mechanics and interested in the champs. And when it comes out, I'll deal with however I feel about it when it comes out. That's probably a better way to approach it. I'm not there. I'm not there, dude. I just feel like I've got Plarium pegged at this point, and I know it's coming. So would love to be pleasantly surprised, but probably will not be. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, big shout out to Ash and Nub. This was a really fun video. I'll link his video down below, so make sure and go check it out. And again, you all, there's nobody watching my channel that doesn't watch Ash. All right, I know that. So either way, go click his video again, give it another view. If you haven't liked it, go like it. And yeah, Ash and I feel like we keep dancing around the idea of doing a collab. So one of these days, Ash and I are going to have to link up and actually do a collab together. So maybe that'll happen soon. But that's it. Let me know where you guys are at. Did you see NubKex's video? Did it change the way you felt about this? Or did you see this video and hear the sentiment? And did it affect the way that you feel about the system coming? It's the system itself, the potential implementation of the system. I'd be interested to hear where everybody's at with this as we go along. I actually don't know when it's coming out. I don't know if there's been news or anything about when this is actually getting released. Again, I have to assume it's soon because the videos, they're pushing out videos about it and stuff. And typically when they do that, it comes quick, but I'm not even in the raid Discord anymore, so I don't have any idea. Maybe I should join so I can see announcements, but it's kind of more fun to get my news like this, honestly. So here you go. Longer video. You guys asked for it. Shout out to anybody that's still here at the end of it. This was a long one. I appreciate you guys. Very interested in the comments on this one. And be nice. I don't care if you're nice to me, but you fucking be nice to NubGigs. All right? Later.